Well, hi. I've fitted my boat out and I'm about ready to go to sea, and guess what? My fridge isn't working. Well, nothing new there, is there? Everybody who's got a fridge on a boat, if they haven't had it break down yet, the time will come when it does. It happens to everybody. And I've seen a few situations where people's freezers have broken down in remote anchorages, and the poor souls have had to go around in the dinghy with all the food and give it out to people because it's going to go off because the freezer's broken down and they can't fix it. Well, listen, this fridge I've got, it's a cool blue refrigerator, which is, I think, about the best fridge you can get. With minimal use of electricity, it produces a freezer which makes ice and it keeps everything cool, and it's, well, quiet too. It's a wonderful thing. But for some reason, it's sprung a leak, and I don't think it's anything to do with the refrigeration unit. I think it's probably in the connections. So we can probably sort that. But meanwhile, I've got to get it working. Now, Coolblue are very good. If you look at their website, which is called Technautic, you'll find out that they've got marvellous videos telling you how to fix the freezer. And they're good. The trouble is, you need the bits. And you need a filling loop, basically a tube with a couple of taps and a gauge in the middle, and you need some cans of gas, R134A refrigeration gas. Now, you can buy this stuff apparently in every corner shop in America, and you can probably get it in Mexico too, but try and get it in Europe and you're a dead duck. You can't get it. So I'm having a real problem trying to find it. I've got to find it from somewhere, and I'm pretty desperate. So right now my task is to find the bits so that I can fix my own fridge. Shouldn't be too difficult, and here I go. Well, I'm not going to turn and look at you because I'm now pounding down the motorway towards Germany at fairly legal speeds through torrential, tropical standard rain, searching for the parts for the fridge. We went to the place that the yard recommended, which was the only place in our local big town, Sonderburg, that had parts for fridges, and the yard didn't think they'd sell me the parts. They thought it had to be done by professionals, but we know that's not true. But when we got there, the place was locked up, didn't have any signs up, and they'd obviously shut down and thrown in the sponge. So, well, here we go. Conditions are shocking, but we're hoping to have a hit just on the German border. If all else fails, we shall drive into Germany, where everything seems to be possible. Well, we're driving into the place that we've found, and it does not look encouraging. There's an awful lot of big trucks here and sort of big industrial stuff, and I sort of somehow, oh goodness me, look at this, it's enormous. I have an awful feeling they're not going to deal with things on our scale, but we'll see what happens. You have to laugh, don't you? What happened is, no, they don't, but an excellent man called Kjeld told me that if all else failed, he would telephone me on Monday, because he thinks he has a man who can get hold of the bits and pieces. So we'll see. But right now we're bound for Germany, where there is an excellent yacht chandler in Flensburg, and he won't have the stuff, but if anybody knows, he will. And then that's it. After that, I don't know where else to turn until Monday. So no cold beer, no ice in my gin and tonic. Oh dear, is life worth living? No luck here, but as I suspected, the excellent chandler here knew a man who he thinks can. So we've got an address, and we're going to look into that now. Well, another bum steer, and this one in Germany. The chandler told me to come here. The opinion of everybody in the chandlery was that these guys would have it if anybody does. And I walked in, and the guy in here, who I remember, because I used to come here to fill my propane bottles. He'd never heard of refrigerant gas R134, so he didn't have any either. So I think the search is off for now. He said there's definitely none of this in Flensburg, which is a big city, so it's just not available. So we're going to have to rely on the gentleman I spoke to this morning ringing me on Monday, and we'll hope that happens. So now it's back to the boat and get some real work done. So it was back to the boat for the weekend, very much with our tail between our legs. Things were not looking good at all, and it seemed that we had to rely on the guy who said he'd ring us on Monday. Well, what if he didn't? Then we'd be absolutely stuck. So Ros did what she does a lot better than me, and she got on the internet with a cool head and had a good look round. And she found somebody in Sonderburg, our local town, which seemed to do everything to do with refrigeration, absolutely everything, large and small, the whole shooting match. We'd no idea what sort of outfit it was, but we decided that just in case the guy didn't ring on Monday, we'd get ourselves down there on Monday morning, and this is what we found. Well, this is the next phase of the fridge saga. It's Monday morning, and we have come to a remarkable firm. Huge. It's called Agramkopf, and it's worldwide, and they know everything about refrigeration. And when we looked at it on the internet, we thought, oh, this will be a nice little shop, there'll be a guy in there who can do it. Well, there isn't. They supply big ships and all sorts of things, but they know what they're talking about. I've just come out of there, and the guy in there has given me a contact which I'm really optimistic about, so we'll see what happens. But they're not going to let me do the job myself. Nobody will let you do that here. You have to have it done by a professional, and he has to sign all the forms and everything else because of the environmental effects of the gas, they say. Well, make of that what you will. But anyway, we've got chapter and verse now. We know where to ring up, and we're hoping for the best. Maybe tomorrow it'll happen. And it did happen. Next morning after breakfast, the fridge man came. And he came just as the young lady who I'd called on the telephone for the number that the man in the big office had given me. It all worked like clockwork. And here he is, doing his wonderful work. So today we finally got lucky, and Yen arrived. And he's doing mysterious and magical things with the fridge, which I would have had no chance of doing. So I'm really glad in the end that we've had him come to do it. He's running a pressure test at the moment, and we're not doing well on the pressure test. We've got a leak, and with his magical tools he's going to see if he can find it. So essentially the bottom line is, I was thinking I could do this myself, but actually, as it's turned out, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, and it's just as well that I couldn't do it myself, because Yen's the man, and I'm going to learn a lot from watching him now. Well, happy result, but I guess there are two messages in this story, really. The first is gophering. You know, we all set time aside to do the jobs on our boat, but we often forget the time we spend driving around, walking about from chandlery to chandlery, from jumble to jumble, trying to source the bits we need. Sourcing bits for a boat is an endless task, and the gopher is an important part of the ship's company. And right here, I'm the gopher as well as the skipper. We spent a lot of time trying to find this man, but when we found him, he did the job. Never despair. The second message, I think, is even more important, really, and it's keep it simple, stupid. You know, modern yachts are full of systems. My boat's got a lot of systems in it, less than some, but an awful lot more than I used to have. Years gone, I had no fridge. I didn't need a fridge, man, because it never broke down. And we managed. We learned to have our tea without milk because the milk used to go off, so we just didn't bother with it anymore. We had lemon instead. We had a boat. We sailed the seas, Ros and I, in total freedom. All the other people were stuck in harbour fixing their fridges and wondering what had gone wrong with their hot water systems. We had none of that. We just had a lovely boat with a beautiful rig, and there was nothing in it that I didn't understand, that I couldn't fix easily myself from the resources I had on board, all except for the engine. and I just wrote that off and forgot it, and we sailed without it. What happy days of youth. But time moves on, and now at our stage, sailing where we do, we like to have some of these luxuries, but we pay the price in terms of the time they take.